Lisa Martinez stood at the window of her office aboard Stellar Station Alpha, watching the endless sea of stars. Her dark hair, streaked with silver, reflected in the reinforced glass. As humanity's representative to the Galactic Council, she had spent 5 years dealing with the politics of space, but something felt different today. The holographic display on her desk blinked insistently. Another encrypted message from home, Earth's Defense Command. She pressed her palm against the scanner, and the message materialized in the air before her. As she read, her hands began to shake. "They've been lying to us all along," she whispered to herself. The data was clear. For the past 20 years, the Council races had been secretly installing dampening fields around human colonies. These fields subtly interfered with certain types of technological research, particularly in the field of faster-than-light travel. The evidence had been gathered painstakingly by Earth's intelligence services, who had suspected something was wrong when breakthrough after breakthrough mysteriously failed. Lisa's communicator chimed. "Representative Martinez, the council session begins in 10 minutes, her assistant's voice reminded her. She straightened her blue diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. The council chamber was located at the heart of Stellar Station Alpha, a massive structure built by the ancient sixth species. As she walked through the curved corridors, her mind raced with possibilities and consequences. The chamber doors slid open silently. Around the circular table sat the representatives of the 12 most powerful species in known space. The sixth delegate, a tall crystalline being named First Light of Dawn, nodded slightly at her entrance. The Moravian representative, whose species resembled humanoid cats, watched her with unblinking golden eyes. The council recognizes the human representative. First Light of Dawn's translated voice echoed through the chamber. Lisa stood, her heart pounding. "Honored Council, I come before you today with grave concerns." She activated her data pad, projecting the evidence into the center of the room. "We have discovered systematic interference with human technological development." The chamber erupted in murmurs. The Moravian representative's fur bristled visibly. "These are serious accusations," First Light of Dawn stated. "Do you have proof?" "We do." Lisa's voice grew stronger. "Our scientists have detected dampening fields around every major human research facility, fields that bear the signature of Council technology." Meanwhile, far from the political center of the galaxy, Admiral Peter Boyd stood on the bridge of the HFS Defender, Earth's newest battleship. He was a tall man with graying hair and eyes that had seen too much combat. The ship's sensors had picked up unusual movements in nearby space. "Admiral," his sensor officer called out, "3 Council vessels just dropped out of FTL near Colony 7. Boyd's jaw tightened. Colony 7 was one of humanity's most important research outposts. "Show me," he ordered. The main screen filled with the image of 3 sleek vessels, their hulls bearing the distinctive markings of the Council Peace Force. They had no business being there. "Sir, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Defense Command," his communications officer reported. The message was brief but clear. Evidence of Council interference confirmed. Maintain distance but protect colonial interests. Authorization level Alpha. Boyd understood the implications immediately. For years, he had wondered why human ships couldn't match the speed of Council vessels, why their weapons always seemed to be just a step behind. Now he knew. They had been handicapped deliberately. Back in the Council chamber, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The Moravian representative had risen from his seat, his voice a controlled growl. "Humanity is too young to understand the responsibilities of advanced spaceflight. The Council has existed for 10,000 years. We maintain order. By suppressing other species." Lisa shot back. "By deciding who gets to advance and who doesn't." First Light of Dawn's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been agitation. The last species that developed unrestricted FTL technology caused the collapse of an entire spiral arm. 12 billion lives were lost. We have a duty to prevent such catastrophes. Lisa's datapad beeped with an urgent message. Council ships had been detected near human colonies. She looked up at the assembled representatives, her voice cold. "You speak of duty, but I see only fear. Fear of change, fear of progress, fear of losing control." The Talaxian representative, whose species was almost as young as humanity, shifted uncomfortably in their seat. Lissa noticed the movement. Perhaps not all council members were united in this deception. "We demand the immediate removal of all dampening fields from human space," Lissa stated firmly. "We also require full disclosure of any other technological restrictions placed on our species. Or," the Moravian's question hung in the air, "or we will consider it an act of war." The chamber fell silent. In 10,000 years, no species had dared to challenge the Council so directly. Aboard the HFS Defender, Admiral Boyd received another urgent transmission. This one was from a research station near Alpha Centauri. "Admiral, we've detected Council ships attempting to access our security perimeter. They're claiming routine inspection rights, but our sensors show weapons charge." Boyd had served in the Earth Defense Force for 30 years. He had fought pirates, handled first contact situations, and dealt with countless diplomatic incidents. But this was different. This was the moment humanity would either stand up for itself or submit to eternal limitation. "All ships, battle stations," he ordered, "form defensive positions around the colony. We will not fire first, but we will defend our people." As klaxons sounded throughout the ship, Boyd sent a message to Earth Defense Command. Council ships showing aggressive positioning, requesting clarification of engagement rules. The response came quickly. "Defend colonial assets. Avoid escalation if possible. Support incoming from Sol system." The pieces were in motion now. In the council chamber, Lisa Martinez gathered her materials, her expression resolute. "I formally register humanity's protest against these actions. Until these issues are addressed, we will be suspending our participation in council activities." As she walked out of the chamber, First Light of Dawn called after her. "Representative Martinez, please understand. Everything we have done has been to maintain peace." Lisa paused at the door but didn't turn around. Peace without justice is just oppression in disguise. Humanity will not accept that. The door closed behind her with a soft hiss, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. As she walked back to her office, Lisa sent an encoded message to Earth. "First phase complete. Council response as expected. Proceed with Operation Daybreak." The war beyond light was about to begin, and humanity was ready to fight for its future among the stars. The Alpha Centauri research station hung in space like a shining beacon, its solar panels reflecting the light of humanity's nearest stellar neighbor. Inside the main laboratory, Dr. Susan Clark adjusted her glasses as she reviewed the latest test results. Her team had been working on quantum tunneling technology for 3 years, and they were finally close to a breakthrough. "Dr. Clark, you need to see this," called out Kevin Howard from his workstation. The chief engineer's excitement was visible as he pulled up a holographic display. The particle stream maintained coherence for 15 seconds. "That's triple our previous record." Susan rushed to his station, her heart racing. If these readings were correct, they had just proven that stable quantum tunneling was possible. This could revolutionize space travel, allowing ships to effectively bypass normal space-time constraints. "Run it again," she ordered, trying to keep her voice steady. "We need to be absolutely certain." Before Kevin could start the next test, the station's alert system activated. Red lights began flashing throughout the laboratory. "Attention all personnel." The station AI announced, 3 council vessels have entered our security perimeter. They are demanding immediate access for inspection." Susan and Kevin exchanged worried looks. The station had received Lisa Martinez's warning about council interference just hours ago. This was no coincidence. In the station's control room, Security Chief Alan Phillips watched as the council ships approached. They were Enforcer-class vessels, heavily armed for supposed peacekeeping ships. "This is Security Chief Phillips of Alpha Centauri Research Station," Council vessels, you are entering restricted space without proper authorization. Please withdraw to safe distance. The response came quickly. This is Captain Varn of the Council Peace Force. We have authority to inspect any technological research facility within Council space. Your cooperation is mandatory. Alan opened a secure channel to Earth Defense Command. We have 3 Council enforcers demanding entry. Request immediate assistance. Hold your position, came the reply. HFS Defender and support ships are en route. Do not allow Council forces to access the station under any circumstances. In the laboratory, Susan and Kevin worked frantically to secure their research data. Begin emergency upload protocol, Susan commanded. Their quantum tunneling breakthrough was too important to lose. The station shuddered as the Council ships engaged their tractor beams. Alan's voice came over the intercom. All personnel, prepare for possible hostile action. Security teams to defensive positions. Susan watched the progress bar of the data upload. 67%, 68%. The station shook again, more violently this time. Council vessels, this is your final warning, Alan broadcast. Disengage immediately, or we will be forced to take defensive action. The answer came in the form of a focused energy burst that cut through the station's outer shields. Alarms blared as emergency bulkheads slammed into place. Hull breach in Section C. Someone shouted over the comm system. They're trying to create a boarding point. Kevin looked at the upload progress. 82%. We need more time, he muttered, fingers flying over his console as he tried to speed up the process. The station's defensive systems activated automatically, returning fire with precision laser bursts. One struck a Council ship's sensor array, sending it spinning briefly before its stabilizers kicked in. Admiral Boyd's task force is 10 minutes out, Alan informed all stations. We just need to hold them off. Another blast rocked the station. Susan grabbed her console to stay upright. 91% uploaded. Multiple boarding craft detected, came the warning. They're cutting through in sections A and D. Susan could hear weapons fire in the distance. The station's security teams were engaging Council boarding parties. She looked at Kevin, who was still protecting the data upload. If they get this technology. They won't, he assured her. 97%. The laboratory doors slid open, and Alan Phillips burst in with 2 security officers. Doctor, we need to move you to a secure location. They're heading this way. Susan shook her head. Not until the upload is complete. The sound of energy weapons grew closer. Alan positioned his team at the laboratory entrance, weapons ready. 98%, 99%. The first Council trooper appeared in the doorway, wearing powered armor in the distinctive blue and silver of the Peace Force. Alan's team opened fire immediately, their bullets bouncing off energy shields. Upload complete, Kevin shouted. Data secured and transmitted. Susan quickly initiated the emergency purge sequence, wiping the station's databases. The Council troops breached the laboratory just as the last files were being deleted. Stop what you're doing, the lead trooper demanded. Step away from the consoles. Kevin raised his hand slowly, moving away from his workstation. Susan did the same, knowing their most important work was already safe, transmitted to secure servers back on Earth. The Council forces secured the laboratory quickly and efficiently. Their commander, a Moravian, stepped forward. By authority of the Galactic Council, this facility is now under our control. All research data is to be surrendered immediately. I'm afraid that's impossible, Susan replied calmly. The data has been purged. The Moravian's fur bristled with anger. That was classified Council-restricted research. Your actions constitute a serious violation of galactic law. No, Susan countered. Our research was conducted independently by humans, for humans. You have no authority here. Before the commander could respond, new alarms sounded. The HFS Defender had arrived, along with 3 other human warships. Council vessels, this is Admiral Peter Boyd. You are engaged in an illegal occupation of a human research facility. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The council commander spoke rapidly into his communicator in his native language. The station's AI provided a rough translation. Cannot secure the data. Human fleet has arrived, requesting instructions. What happened next would be debated in council chambers for years to come. One of the council ships, perhaps acting on outdated contingency orders, fired a full weapons spread at the HFS defender. The human fleet's response was immediate and overwhelming. From the laboratory windows, Susan and the others watched as space lit up with weapons fire. The council ships, though advanced, were outnumbered and caught off guard by the human fleet's aggressive response. All council forces, withdraw from the station immediately, the Moravian commander ordered. His troops began a fighting retreat, backing toward their boarding craft. As the council forces pulled back, Susan turned to Kevin. Did the transmission go through clearly? All of it. He nodded, a slight smile on his face. Every bit. Earth has the quantum tunneling data. They can't stop us now. The battle outside lasted less than 10 minutes. One council ship was severely damaged. The other two retreated with their boarding parties. The HFS defender took up a defensive position near the station, its presence a clear message to the council. Humanity would no longer tolerate interference. Hours later, as repair crews worked to fix the station's damage, Susan recorded her official report. The council's attempt to seize our research has failed. More importantly, they have revealed their true intentions to the galaxy. The quantum tunneling breakthrough remains secure, and with it, humanity's path to the stars remains open. The Alpha Centauri incident, as it came to be known, marked the first open conflict between humanity and the Galactic Council. It would not be the last. The Council's worst fears had been realized. Humanity had not only discovered their technological suppression, but had also managed to break through it. The war beyond light had claimed its first casualties, and the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Mary Patterson studied the holographic display of the Orion arm, her eyes focused on the blinking red dots that marked Council patrol routes. The hidden command center deep beneath Europa's icy surface hummed with activity as her team prepared for what would become humanity's most daring military operation. "Status report on Base Epsilon," she asked, her voice carrying across the command center. Lieutenant Eric Carter responded from his station. "The base's cloaking systems are still functioning perfectly, Commander. The Council has no idea we're about to wake up our sleeping giant." Base Epsilon was one of 7 secret military installations humanity had built over the past decade, carefully hidden from Council observers. Each base contained experimental weapons and ships developed by Dr. John Hayes and his team of scientists, who had worked around the Council's dampening fields by using completely new approaches to physics. "Begin wake-up sequence," Mary ordered. "And get me Dr. Hayes." The main screen lit up with the image of a tired-looking man in his 50s, his lab coat wrinkled from long hours of work. "Commander Patterson, I assume it's time." "Yes, Doctor. How's the dark matter cascade system looking?" John's eyes lit up with excitement. "Better than we hoped. The initial tests show it can completely disrupt a ship's energy shields without harming the crew. The Council won't know what hit them." Mary nodded, allowing herself a small smile. "Start bringing the systems online. We launch in 6 hours." Across the solar system, Captain Daniel Wright sat in the command chair of the stealth ship HFS Shadow. His vessel was one of the new Phantom-class ships, designed specifically to evade Council detection systems. The ship's quantum-shifted hull made it nearly invisible to standard sensors. "Captain, we have movement," his sensor officer reported. "Council supply convoy, right on schedule." Daniel leaned forward in his chair. "Show me." The tactical display revealed 5 Council cargo ships, accompanied by 2 escort vessels. They were carrying materials to support the Council's military buildup near human space. "Plot an intercept course," Daniel ordered. "Remember, we hit hard and fast. Don't give them time to call for help." The HFS Shadow slipped through space like a ghost, its advanced engines barely creating a ripple in the quantum field. The Council ships had no idea they were about to face humanity's new technology. Back at Europa Command, Mary received the first reports from other hidden bases as they came online. Base Delta in the Kuiper Belt was activating its fleet of specialized electronic warfare ships. Base Gamma near Mars was preparing its squadron of advanced fighters. "Commander," Eric called out, "we're detecting Council probe ships near Jupiter's orbit." Mary studied the tactical display. "They're searching for us." Too late. She opened a channel to all hidden bases. "This is Commander Patterson. Operation Rising Thunder is now active. All units, execute your assigned missions." Across the solar system, humanity's hidden forces sprang into action. The Council was about to learn that humans had not been idle during the years of suppression. In deep space, Dangle Wright's ship approached its target. "Weapon systems ready," his tactical officer reported. Dark matter cascade primed. "Target the lead escort vessel," Daniel ordered. "Fire when ready." The new weapon activated, sending out waves of modified dark matter that passed through the Council ship's shields as if they weren't there. The escort vessel's systems began failing immediately, its lights flickering and engines dying. "Second escort is turning to engage," the tactical officer reported. "Hit them with the cascade," Daniel commanded. "Then disable the cargo ships." The operation went perfectly. Within minutes, all 7 Council vessels were drifting powerless in space, their crews unable to call for help or restore power. "Begin boarding operations," Daniel ordered. "Let's see what they're really carrying to the front lines." At Base Epsilon, Dr. Hayes monitored the performance of his weapon systems with satisfaction. "The Cascade weapons are working exactly as designed," he reported to Mary. "The Council's shield technology is useless against them." Mary was already planning the next phase. "What about the FTL inhibitors? Can they stop Council ships from escaping?" "Better than that," John replied. "They can trap them in normal space mid-jump. The test results are remarkable." Reports began flowing in from across human space. Captain Laura Bennett's task force had successfully ambushed a Council patrol fleet near Proxima Centauri. Commander Steve Mason's ships had disabled a Council communication relay near Sirius. Every engagement showed the same result. Humanity's hidden technology was overwhelming Council defenses. "Commander Patterson," Eric called out urgently, "we're receiving a priority message from Earth Defense Command. The Council is requesting an emergency meeting." Mary allowed herself a grim smile. "They're finally realizing we're not the helpless children they thought we were." In the Arcturus sector, Dangle Wright's boarding teams made a startling discovery. The Council supply ships weren't just carrying military equipment. They held dampening field generators intended for installation around more human colonies. "Send all data to command," he ordered. "This is the proof we needed of their continued attempts to suppress us." The next few hours saw a complete shift in the balance of power. Humanity's hidden fleets emerged from their bases, striking Council military installations and supply lines with surgical precision. The dark matter cascade weapons rendered Council defensive technology obsolete, while the new FTL inhibitors trapped their ships in normal space. At Europa Command, Mary reviewed the ongoing operations with satisfaction. "Status report," she commanded. Eric's response was filled with pride. "All objectives achieved, Commander. Council forces are in retreat across multiple sectors. Our casualties are minimal." Dr. Hayes added his own report. "The technology is performing beyond expectations. The Council never saw this coming." Mary opened a channel to all forces. "This is Commander Patterson. Phase 1 of Operation Rising Thunder is complete. Hold positions and prepare for Phase 2. The Council thought they could keep us down by restricting our technology. Instead, they forced us to innovate in ways they never imagined." As the message went out, she studied the strategic display showing human forces advancing across space that had been Council-controlled for millennia. The war beyond light had entered a new phase, and humanity had just proved it could not only fight but win. In his lab, Dr. Hayes looked at the data streaming in from the field. "You know what this means, don't you?" he asked Mary. "The Council will have to recognize us as equals now." Mary nodded, her expression determined. "Not just equals, Doctor. After today, they'll have to recognize us as a force that can't be controlled or suppressed. The galaxy is about to change. The strategic edge humanity had gained would prove decisive in the days to come. The Council's technological superiority, maintained for thousands of years, had been broken in a single day of coordinated strikes. The war beyond light was entering its next phase, and humanity was leading the charge into a new era of galactic history. Ambassador Paul Martinez sat in his office aboard the diplomatic ship HFS Unity, reviewing the encrypted messages that had been flooding in over the past 12 hours. Each one told the same story. Younger species across the galaxy were reaching out to humanity, seeking alliance and support. The Novarians, a species that had achieved spaceflight just 50 years before humans, were the first to make contact. Their ambassador, a tall blue-skinned being named Zora, appeared on Paul's holographic display. "The Council has been lying to all of us," Zora said, her translator conveying the emotion in her voice. "We discovered dampening fields around our colonies too, just like yours." Paul leaned forward in his chair. "How many other species are affected?" "All of us, every species that joined the Council in the last 1,000 years. We've been gathering evidence quietly since your confrontation began." On the research station near Vega, Dr. Amy Foster was analyzing data from multiple alien worlds. Her team had been working nonstop since receiving the first transmissions from other species. The patterns were undeniable. "Look at this," she said to her assistant, pointing to a complex graph. "The Council didn't just limit FTL technology. They've been suppressing everything from quantum computing to energy production. It's systematic." The door to her lab slid open, and a Talaxian scientist named Keth entered. His species resembled tall, slender humans with silvery skin. "Dr. Foster, we've confirmed your findings on our homeworld. The suppression goes back centuries." In deep space, the Council's internal divisions were becoming apparent. The Moravian flagship Starweaver had broken formation with the main Council fleet. Admiral Vex, a respected Moravian commander, had seen enough. "This conflict is unnecessary," he transmitted to both Council and human forces. "The policy of technological suppression has failed. We must adapt or face collapse." More Council ships followed the Starweaver's lead. The oldest Council races, the Zixth and their closest allies, found their grip on power weakening by the hour. Back on the HFS Unity, Paul Martinez hosted a secret meeting of representatives from 12 younger species. The ship's conference room was filled with beings of various shapes and sizes, all united by a common grievance. "The evidence is clear," Paul addressed the gathering. "The Council's policy of suppression wasn't about safety. It was about control. They feared our potential, all of our potential." A Novarian delegate raised her hand. "We've analyzed the human quantum tunneling breakthrough. With some modifications, it could work for all our species." The room buzzed with excitement. Dr. Amy Foster, attending via hologram, added her insights. "The Council's dampening fields actually forced us to develop new approaches to physics. We've all been innovating in ways they never expected." On Earth, the Defense Command received a surprising message. The Moravian High Council, breaking with their ancient allies, was requesting a direct dialogue with human leadership. "The old order is crumbling," Admiral Boyd reported to the assembled human leaders. "More Council members are questioning the wisdom of their predecessors." The next few days saw rapid changes across the galaxy. The Talaxians offered their advanced sensor technology to the human fleet. The Novarians shared their breakthroughs in energy generation. Each species had developed unique solutions to overcome the Council's restrictions, and now they were sharing their knowledge freely. Dr. Foster worked tirelessly with scientists from multiple species, combining their discoveries. "It's incredible," she told Paul during a brief break. Each of us solved different pieces of the puzzle. Together, we're advancing faster than the Council ever imagined possible. The Coalition, as the alliance of younger species came to be known, grew stronger each day. Paul Martinez found himself coordinating diplomatic efforts across hundreds of star systems. The Council's grip on power was slipping away. They never considered this possibility, Zora told Paul during a strategy session. They were so focused on keeping us separate, on preventing any one species from advancing too quickly, that they never imagined we would all unite. The Moravian delegation arrived on Earth under a flag of truce. Their lead diplomat, Senior Speaker Rix, met with human leaders in the ancient hall of the United Nations. "We were wrong," Rix admitted, his feline features solemn. "The old Council's fears of unrestricted progress have led us down a path of stagnation. It is time for change." In her lab, Dr. Foster made another breakthrough. Working with Keth and other alien scientists, she had found a way to not only detect the Council's dampening fields, but to reverse their effects entirely. "The fields don't just suppress technology," she explained to Paul via hologram. "They suppress innovation itself. But we can end that. We can free every species to reach their full potential." The news spread quickly through Coalition channels. More Council ships defected, joining the growing fleet of Allied vessels. The oldest Council races found themselves increasingly isolated. Paul Martinez prepared for the most important diplomatic mission of his career. The Coalition had agreed to present their demands to the full Council, not as supplicants, but as equals. "We don't seek revenge," he told the assembled representatives. "We seek justice, and more importantly, we seek progress. The galaxy has been held back long enough." The alliance shift, as historians would later call it, represented more than just a military or political change. It marked the end of an era of enforced stagnation and the beginning of a new age of cooperation and advancement. Dr. Foster watched as the combined scientific teams began dismantling the first dampening field network. "This is just the beginning," she said to Keth. "Imagine what we'll achieve together, without artificial limits." The Council's oldest members faced a choice: adapt to the new reality or face obsolescence. The galaxy was changing, and the combined strength of the younger species could no longer be denied or contained. As Paul Martinez prepared for the final confrontation with the Council leadership, he reflected on how far they had come. What had begun as humanity's solitary stand against suppression had evolved into a movement that would reshape the galaxy. The war beyond light was entering its final phase, but its most lasting impact would not be measured in battles won or lost, but in the bonds forged between species who discovered they were stronger together than apart. The Arcturus system blazed with the light of battle. Admiral Peter Boyd stood on the bridge of the HFS Defender, watching as the combined fleet of human and coalition ships moved into position. The Council's main armada waited ahead, their ships forming a defensive wall around their primary FTL regulatory station. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his tactical officer announced. "Coalition forces are in position." Boyd nodded, his expression grave. "Send the signal to Dr. Clark. It's time to show them what humanity can really do." Aboard the science vessel HFS Discovery, Dr. Susan Clark made final adjustments to the quantum tunneling device. After the attack on her research station, she had refined the technology even further, working with scientists from a dozen species. "Quantum field stabilized," she reported. "We can create a tunnel large enough for the entire fleet." The Council Armada's commander broadcast on all frequencies. "This is your final warning. Stand down or face destruction. The old order must be preserved." Boyd opened a channel to all ships. "The old order was built on lies and suppression. Today we end it." He turned to his bridge crew. "Begin the operation." Dr. Clark activated her device. Space itself seemed to ripple as a quantum tunnel formed, creating a bridge through normal spacetime. The Coalition fleet, led by the Defender, entered the tunnel. The Council ships opened fire, but their weapons passed harmlessly through empty space. The Coalition fleet had vanished, only to reappear behind the Council's defensive line. "All ships, engage," Boyd commanded. The battle erupted in full fury. Council vessels found their advanced shields useless against the dark matter cascade weapons. Coalition ships, combining technologies from multiple species, struck with devastating effectiveness. On the diplomatic front, Lisa Martinez led a delegation into the Council's central chamber aboard their regulatory station. Security forces from both sides watched each other warily. "The old Council is finished," Lisa announced to the assembled representatives. "We come to negotiate the terms of a new galactic order." First Light of Dawn, the sixth leader, rose from his seat. "You destroy 10,000 years of peace and stability. Peace built on suppression is no peace at all," Lisa countered. "We have drafted the Arcturus Accords. They guarantee technological freedom and equal representation for all species." Outside, the battle reached its climax. The Council's defensive line had broken. Their ships, designed to fight enemies with inferior technology, found themselves outmaneuvered and overwhelmed. Dr. Clark's voice came over the command channel. "Admiral, we're detecting energy buildup in the regulatory station. They're trying to activate some kind of super weapon." Boyd made his decision instantly. "All ships, fall back to safe distance. Dr. Clark, prepare another quantum tunnel, right inside their containment field." The plan worked perfectly. The quantum tunnel formed within the station's defensive perimeter, allowing Coalition forces to bypass their last line of defense. The station's weapon powered down as emergency protocols activated. In the Council chamber, the mood had shifted. The Moravian representatives, along with several other species, moved to join Lisa's side. "The Arcturus Accords will be signed," Lisa stated firmly. "The age of suppression is over." First Light of Dawn looked at the Coalition forming before him, then at the battle display showing his defeated fleet. Perhaps it is time for change." The signing ceremony took place there, in the very chamber where humanity had first challenged Council authority. Representatives from all species, old and new, added their marks to the document that would reshape galactic society. Admiral Boyd watched from the Defender's Bridge as ships from former enemy fleets began powering down their weapons. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "The war is over." Dr. Clark's team began the work of dismantling the vast network of dampening fields that had held back progress for so long. "With these gone, there's no limit to what we can achieve," she told her mixed team of human and alien scientists. The Arcturus Accords established a new council, one where all species had equal voice and rights. Technology would be shared openly, with safety protocols established by mutual agreement rather than imposed restriction. Lisa Martinez stood at a viewport, watching ships from dozens of species moving peacefully through space. The quantum tunneling technology had already revolutionized travel, and new discoveries were being made daily as species shared their knowledge freely. "What happens now?" a young diplomat asked her. Lisa smiled. "Now we go beyond light, beyond the artificial boundaries that held us back. We go forward together." The war had changed everything. Humanity had not only broken free from Council restrictions, but had helped forge a new alliance that would reshape the galaxy. Species that had been enemies now worked together, sharing discoveries and building a future that none of them could have achieved alone. In the years that followed, the galaxy entered a golden age of discovery and innovation. The combined knowledge and creativity of all species led to breakthroughs that the old Council had never imagined possible. Admiral Boyd retired to teach at the new Galactic Academy, where students from all species study together. Dr. Clark led joint research projects that pushed the boundaries of known science. Lisa Martinez served as the first elected leader of the new council, overseeing an era of unprecedented cooperation and growth. The war beyond light had ended, but its legacy lived on in every new discovery, every shared breakthrough, and every peaceful encounter between species that had once been kept apart by fear and suspicion. As the last dampening field was dismantled, Lisa Martinez recorded a final entry in her diplomatic log. We fought not just for humanity's freedom, but for the right of all species to reach for the stars in their own way. The light of progress can no longer be contained. The future belongs to all of us together.